I am making an updated Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile. I'm getting excited about some of the new cards that are going to be in the Jack Atlas structure deck. So I figured I'd go ahead and make a new deck profile for Red Dragon Archfiend. Which, at the moment, I don't know how good the deck actually is, because I haven't playtested it with this version. But I'm assuming it's still a pretty good deck. But it probably won't do very well against decks like Kashtira or Dragon Link or I want to say Tenyi Sword Soul as well, but I haven't really fought that deck, so don't really know how it would go. But starting off with the resonators for the deck, I played 2 copies of Synchron Resonator. I was playing 3, but Synchron Resonator is always the first thing I thought of to cut when I needed to reduce the deck size. But it has the effect of if there's a level 8 or higher Synchro in play, you can special summon from your hand. And you can only special summon Synchron Resonator once per turn that way. And then when Synchron Resonator is sent to the graveyard, you can target I think it has to be from field to grave. Yeah, when it's sent from field to graveyard, you can target a Resonator in your grave other than Synchron Resonator and add to your hand. Then I play 3 copies of Red Resonator. Red Resonator has the effect of when it's normal summoned, that you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand. And then if it is special summoned, you can target one face-up monster on the field, gain life points equal to its attack points. You can only use each effect of Red Resonator once per turn. Which normally you do this is you normal summon it, summon level 4, tune them for Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising will summon back Red Resonator, and then Red Resonator will target Red Rising to gain 2100 life points. Then I play 3 copies of Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator is a free summon if you control no monsters, as well as if you control exactly 1 Dark Dragon Synchro monster and no other monsters besides this card. You can activate its effect to summon 2 Resonators from your deck with different, I think they have to be different names. No, but you can special summon up to 2 Resonator monsters from your deck, except for Crimson Resonator. And then you can only use that effect of Crimson Resonator once per turn, and when you use either effect of Crimson Resonator, you're locked into Dark Dragon Synchros for the rest of the turn. Which is fine, because every monster in this extra deck is a Dark Dragon Synchro. Then to finish off the Resonators, I play 1 copy of Creation Resonator. It's just a free summon for level 8 or higher Synchro monsters on the field. No, if you control level 8 or higher Synchro. Then I also play 3 copies of Assault Synchron. Assault Synchron is in this deck because it actually pairs well with this deck's boss monster. And it has the effect during the main phase, you can special summon it from your hand and take 700 damage. Also, while this card's face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except Synchros. Again, everything in the extra deck is a Synchro monster. And if a face-up Dragon Synchro you control, which is every Synchro monster in the extra deck, is tributed or banished except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target one of those monsters, special summon it. You can only use each effective Assault Synchron once per turn. I will get over, or go over, not get over, how this will be beneficial later. But it's also good because for Kaijus, something like Abyss or the boss monster, you can just use this to bring that monster right back. And then for the non-tuners, I play 2 copies of Red Gardna. Red Gardna has the effect of during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, while you control a Red Dragon Archfiend monster, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, so that turn all monsters you control can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So an example would be if you have Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend or Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss in play, then your opponent activates something like Dark Hole, Regeki, or Lightning Storm. You can chain Red Gardna so that your monsters can't be destroyed. Then I also play 2 copies of Perform Mage Hat Tricker. Hat Tricker is a free summon just as long as there's 2 or more monsters in play. And that's pretty much the only effect you use of it. Just because that's a free level 4 body. Then I also play 3 copies of Witch of the Black Forest. Witch of the Black Forest has the effect of when it's sent from field to grave, you can add a monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. But you cannot activate cards or the effects of cards with the same name as that monster until the end of the turn, or until the next turn. How does it work exactly? Okay, you can't use it until for those effects for the rest of the turn. And you can only use each effect of Witch of the Black Forest once per turn. Which, the monster you usually start off with Witch of the Black Forest is Wandering King Wildwind. Which has the effect of if you control a Fiend Tuner with 1500 less attack, you can special summon from your hand. Which is not an activated effect, so Witch of the Black Forest can search this and you can summon it with its effect because you're not activating it. And then the only downside is if this card is summoned by this effect, then you cannot summon for the extra except for synchros, which again, everything's a synchro for the rest of the turn. And then during the main phase, except for the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish it to add a... With this deck, it'd be adding a Resonator, but it lets you add a Fiend Tuner with 1500 less attack from your deck to your hand. Which, again, the Resonators are all Fiend Tuners with less than 1000 attack. I think most of them are actually less than... or 800 or less. I also play 2 copies of Red Warg. Red Warg has the effect of when you normal summon a Resonator, you can activate Red Warg's effect in hand to special summon it, but its attack and defense is halved. It's just in here so that you can go straight into a level 8 just by normal summoning a level 2. And then for the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Effect Veiler, just because being able to target an opponent's monster negates effects is actually pretty good still. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, just because it's still one of the best hand traps, being able to stop your opponent from moving a card from deck to anywhere else. Or I guess I should say, moving a card from deck to grave, hand, or field. As long as it's summoning from deck, I should say. And then, to finish off the hand traps, technically, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This just lets you target an opponent's... It's just another effect rail you can activate just by having no cards in play. Or if it's set on the field and activates, then that column has all its spells and traps negated for that turn. Which will include your own, so if you activate on your turn, be careful. Then for the spells, I play 1 copy of Scarlet Security. This is Heartbeat's Feather Duster while you control Red Dragon Archfiend. Then 1 copy of Heartbeat's Feather Duster. Just deal with all your back row. 2 copies of Lightning Storm, so this deck will generally be going second. Lightning Storm just can only be activated while you control no face-up cards. But it lets you either destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters or all spells and traps they control. Then I play 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. This just lets you summon a level 7 or 8 dragon in your graveyard. You target a level 7 or 8 dragon in your grave, special summon it. And then if a dragon... Let's see, where is it? If a dragon monster or monsters you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your grave instead. This is just in here for a protection for Red Dragon Archfiend, and with the general combo, you will be getting Red Dragon Archfiend in the grave quite easily. And that's just another card to summon it back. Then to finish off these spells, and I forgot to mention this will be a 42 card deck. I play 3 copies of Resonator Call, which just lets you add a Resonator from deck to hand. It's quite simple. That is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Oh crap, I bumped the camera. For the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon has the effect of when it's summoned, you can target a Resonator in your grave, special summon it, and then locks you into Dark Dragon Synchros. This deck will lock you into Dark Dragon Synchros quite easily. and quickly. Then you special summon that targeted resonator, and then it has the effect of while it's in grave, you can banish it to special summon 2 level 1 resonator monsters from your graveyard by targeting. You banish it, target 2 level 1 resonators in your grave, special summon them. Which will only be the synchron resonators, which at the moment won't happen very often, but that could change once the structure deck is released. Then I play 1 copy of Red Dragon Archfiend, just because as long as Super Heavy Samurai is a thing, which most people go, they lost the link, so they died as a deck. No, they haven't. As most decks are still using Super Heavy Samurai at the very least as an engine, because bike equals combo, apparently. But Red Dragon Archfiend just in this deck, because I feel like you can't make a Red Dragon Archfiend deck without playing the original. And it has the effect if it attacks a defense position monster, destroy all your opponent's defense position monsters, which this deck does side Book of Eclipse, so there we go. Honestly, I even thought about siding Swords of Concealing Light just because it flips everything face down. And then at the end of the battle phase, its only downside is it will destroy any of your monsters that did not attack, so... Then I play 3 copies of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This is more or less this deck's quote ace monster. And it's easy to make, and it actually does a whole lot. Its effect is its name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the grave. And then once per turn, you can activate its effect to destroy all special summoned monsters on the field with attack equal to or less than its own other than itself. So, activates effect, it will destroy all other special summoned monsters that have 3,000 or less attack, as long as they're effect monsters. And then your opponent takes 800 points of damage for every monster that was destroyed by its effect. And that is a once per turn effect, so if you activate its effect, and then make something like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, or Bane, and then activate Return of the Dragon Lord, summon it back, you can activate its effect again. Because it's once per turn, if you activate its effect, it leaves the field and comes back, it's considered a new card, so you can use its effect again. Because it's not a hard once per turn effect. Then I play 2 copies of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Abyss has the effect of being able to, as a quick effect, target 1 face-up card in the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss once per turn. And then when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. And then I also play 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. Bane lets you tribute one other monster you control. I think it's 1 other. Nope, you can tribute 1 monster, target a Red Dragon Archfiend monster in your grave, special summon it. And then when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special summon 2 resonators, 1 from grave, 1 from deck, that have the same level, but different names. And you can only use each effect of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane once per turn. Then I play 1 copy of Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. Tyrant basically just as Judgment Dragon, being able to, during the main phase, destroy all other cards in play. And then if it... What was this? Let's see. And then during the battle phase, if a spell or trap is activated, Tyrant can negate it to then gain 500 attack points. That's pretty much it. It's just a 3,500 destroy everything card. Then I also play 1 copy of Red Nova Dragon. Red Nova Dragon just gains 500 attack for every tuner in your graveyard. And then Red Nova can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card until your next standby phase to negate the attack. Red Nova's just in here because it's another boss monster. Speaking of another boss monster, I also play 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. King Calamity has the effect of when it's synchro summoned, your opponent can activate cards or effects for the rest of the turn. Which, when Haki Fibrax was still a card, this deck can make this on the opponent's turn. But without it, it is very difficult, so I don't usually try. But it also has the effect of if it destroys an opponent's monster at battle, your opponent takes damage equal to that monster's attack. And if this card leaves the field because of an opponent's card, it's either that or when it's destroyed. Okay, my bad. When this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, you can special summon one Dark Dragon Synchro from your graveyard other than King Calamity. It's just in here because, again, it's another boss monster. And then to finish off the deck with 2 more boss monsters, I play 2 copies of Red Supernova Dragon. Red Supernova gains 500 attack for every tuner in your graveyard. And then if your opponent activates... Where is it? Or it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects, and when your opponent... activates a card or effect or text. When your opponent monster activates an effect... I cannot word, I'm sorry. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster's effect is activated or your opponent declares an attack, quick effect, you can activate this effect, banish this card, also banish all cards your opponent controls. Once per turn, during your end phase, after this effect was activated, during your end phase after this effect, this card was banished by its own effect, special summon this banished card. The main reason that this card is good is just because it's I'm going to banish everything, and then Assault Resonator, I can't word. This card, if this card's in your graveyard when you activate Red Supernova's effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, summon Red Supernova back. And since Supernova is not a hard once per turn, you can use Red Supernova Dragon again. Which, that's the main reason I was playing Assault Synchron in this deck. But that is it for my Red Dragon Archfiend deck. Again, please forgive my stuttering, I'm sorry. But if you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas decks like to be made in the future, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. Thanks for watching.